here's another reason why you want to take control of what you're doing.
Everything kind of funnels into the only winning move is not to play the game.
I don't know, guys. This whole thing sounds pre-recorded.
What are you talking? What are you doing?
Welcome to another edition of the Weather Report. Imagine that happening. I mean, you hear it on a daily basis about these things that happen on the road. Road rage, you're in the middle of a protest, you're in the front row, you're in a crowd, you don't know what's going on, you got your windows rolled up, people are jumping on your cars. You just never know what's going to happen out there in this environment that has happened in the last, last decade. I'm going to say the last decade. And so I got a special guest today, and his name is Michael Mercer, and he's from F3Defense.com. Now, before we get started, I just want to kind of just, express to you guys that this has happened to me before. It's happened to me where, I've had a road rage incident. Admittedly, sometimes you bring it on yourself and sometimes you don't. But when somebody gets out of your car and they're threatening you, you have no idea whether they have a gun, whether they have something to break into your car, whether they're going to damage it or anything like that, else like that. And Michael Mercer and 3D Defense have come up with a fantastic idea that you guys have got to find out about. You guys got to look, you guys got to watch. And I know there's a lot of people that are out there that are going to be on the audio portion of this content. So we will try to describe this as much as possible. Now, Ken, usually with me, is on his vacation and his birthday. So we want to wish him a happy birthday. But here's the background on Michael Mercer. He's a retired Mesa, Arizona police officer with over 30 years experience in law enforcement. He's also a U.S. Navy veteran. He's the co-creator of the Chemical Agent Specialist Program for Mesa PD, used in managing large-scale events in public safety. He's also recognized in the ICCP Advanced Practitioner under the CPTED Association, the Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. He's also has extensive experience in community policing, crime prevention, and consulting. His notable work includes the development of the FIN, mobile pepper spray deployment system, which we'll be talking about for vehicles, the expanded product line, which is RVDefend, which I like very much because I have an RV, and TRUCKSTOP for additional safety applications. He focuses on less than lethal defense and equips everyday Americans with practical tools and self-protection. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Michael Mercer. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great, Bruce. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you for being here out there in Maine, because that's where you're at, 3 hours ahead of me, and I doing this at a special time at 4 o'clock because
I appreciate accommodating me.
Yeah, at 7 o'clock is 10 o'clock out there for you, and yeah, if you're like me, I'm usually in bed by 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. That's about all
Exactly.
this I can say. So how you doing today? I'm glad to see you, and I saw you on the Jack Spurko, the Survival podcast, and it really hit me. I thought it was a fantastic show, and I'm glad to have you here to talk about 3D Defense.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. And it's F3 Defense, freedom from fear. So it's the three F's mean freedom from fear. My wife and I started this company about 5 years ago because we saw what was going on around the country, and we heard a woman's. I heard a woman's story on the radio that she and her 3 kids got surrounded by a crazy violent mob, and this was during the summer of love of 2020, as we all know. But she was driving up and she got stuck in a rotary up in Bangor, Maine, and they held her hostage there for 14 minutes, calling them names and screaming at them and just keeping them from moving and really frightening them. I could hear the terror in her voice. And so listening to her on the radio and being a cop, you know, through and through, I just, you know, bleed. I just want to help people. And every time I hear that, you know, people are in distress, I try to do my best to jump and make a difference. So that's where it came from. Well, you know, a woman who got surrounded and actually attacked while in her vehicle. And F3Defense means freedom from fear. And we want to empower people to be able to live their life without fear. So that's the essence of it.
Yeah, well, this is occurring more and more often, you know, especially on city streets, you know, metro areas and things like that. Also, with the protests that are going on, they can spark off at any time. I mean, you know, they ebb and flow and everything. But when you're caught in the middle of something, you know, caught in the middle of a crowd that's surrounding your car, and whether or not you agree with their agenda or not with their agenda, and you just want to move through, they attack you. It doesn't even matter. So your product that we're going to show here pretty soon is just, I've never seen it before. I thought it was unique, and when I saw it on the Survival Podcast with Jack Spirko, I was very impressed. But let's get to a couple of questions that I got here first.
Yeah.
You're from police work and military service to entrepreneurship to doing this whole thing with F3 Defense.
How did it come about? Well, I always wanted to be a cop. My grandpa was a cop in Torrance, California. I had cousins in Anaheim and LAPD, and I just always wanted to be a police officer. So I became a cop at 19, and it's all I'd ever done my whole life. And at 9/11 hit, and I at that point I'd had 15 years on the job already, and I called the recruiter up. And I said, you know, what can you offer? I want to do something. So they changed the billet for the Navy at that point for the Master at Arms. So the Master at Arms before 9/11 was essentially a shore patrol type of, you know, pretty much a cop, a beat cop type of thing. But after 9/11, the MA billet changed, and they needed a lot of MAs into counterterrorism and force protection. So that billet changed, and that was right in my wheelhouse. So, you know, I'd been a cop for already 15 years. I'd worked in drugs. I worked in gangs. I worked in, you know, detective bureau. I worked hostage negotiation through FBI hostage negotiation school. So I had a lot of experience, and I knew that I could be an asset to my country in a larger way. So they brought me in. I was Master at Arms. I went to boot camp. I turned 37 up at Great Lakes.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was an old man up there. So
you're probably older than your sergeant.
My ROs, yeah, I was older than my ROs. I was, yeah, absolutely. And that's funny because my first academy up here in Maine, I started in 1980. What academy was that? 1987, and in 1987, I went to the academy in Maine in January. Now, if you've ever been to Maine, Bruce, in January in Maine, it's about 15 below zero.
Yeah.
And so it's super cold. So I went to the academy in a very cold environment. Now, when I went to Arizona, I became a cop in Mesa because I got tired of working in the cold. So I went to Arizona, I became a cop in Mesa, and I went to the academy there. It was July. So if you've ever been to, well, you live in Texas. You know what the valley is.
I live in California. Actually, I live in California. So.
Oh, you do? Oh, I thought you were from Texas.
But when I was in the Air Force, I was stationed in Tucson, Arizona, so I know exactly the climate that you're talking about.
So I went to the academy in the Valley of the Sun in July, and so when they offered me boot camp, they said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "You're going to give me an option?" So I'm like, "Yeah, okay." He says, "Well, October is an option. Do you want to go in October?" And I'm like, "Let's do it. October, beautiful up in Illinois. That it's not too cold, not too hot." So right. I got to choose that one.
So how did the F3 Defense business come along? Did you have businesses before this that led up to F3 Defense?
Yeah, so when I retired from law enforcement, I started a consulting company that was, when you mentioned law enforcement, crime prevention through environmental design. That is something that's a science, if you will, that I look at the build environment of, let's say, one structure or all the way over to a neighborhood or a city. I look at the structure, and what I do as a trained septhead, and it's pronounced septhead. So if you see them all bunched up together, it's just, if you hear septhead, that's what it is.
Okay.
But it really is. It's about deterring or lowering the opportunity for crime. And simple stuff, right? Lighting. Make sure your bushes are trimmed and your trees are trimmed, and you have good sight lines, and you don't want to become a soft target, to the bad guys or the potential bad guys. So septet is about lowering your potential to being a victim. And then so I did that in my consulting. I created situational awareness courses for real estate agents, hospitality workers, Uber drivers. If you figure every single industry has its own inherent risks,
yes,
right? And that you can't throw my idea of being able to educate people and to actually empower people is to educate you about the risks, and then how you can mitigate those risks. And then if you need to protect yourself, how do you protect yourself? Whether it be pepper spray, a baton, a firearm. But those are the types of things that I train and I would teach people depending on their industry. So I'd identify the risk. If you're a truck driver, you have definitely different risks than somebody who works in a hotel or a bar. If you're a female truck driver, you have even more risks than even a male truck driver. So identifying those risks, mitigating those risks, and then helping those people not become a victim, and actually empowering them to take control of their safety and really take take personal safety to heart. So I did that until 2020, and my governor in the state of Maine decided to shut the whole state down. We couldn't travel, we couldn't move, we literally, Bruce, I couldn't go to the store and get a sandwich. It was so insane up here. So all our businesses died. I couldn't travel, I couldn't consult, I couldn't fly to Florida. I had a gig down in Florida that were going to pay me to do a septhead project on a brand new development. $1 million budget. They had, come on in, we need your help. Gone. Nothing. Can't move. Travel. So I was getting pretty upset. They closed my gym, they closed my church, they closed everything that my wife and I held close. And so it really, really, really got me. I was angry, Bruce. I was very angry. I think we all were. Most of us were. Yeah. Most. And you were in California, of course. Of course,
yeah,
you
they
were.
locked us down. Yeah, they locked us down.
Oh, you got killed too. Yeah.
I defied a lot of that. I defied a lot of it.
Yeah, well, she had people, calling people up. You couldn't. So long story short, this is when I heard that lady. She was actually going up, and she wasn't political at all. But Trump was flying Air Force One up to Bangor because a company up there was doing some cleaning solution. They were helping with the alcohol swab or whatever it was. And he came up here to try to, to congratulate them, small business and all that. That's when I heard her story about getting caught in this protest that turned violent in front of her. And so I'm like, I have got to do something. I created the Chemical Agent Specialist Program for Mesa PD back in the mid-90s. And that was really, Bruce, you're gonna dig this. That was really out of a direct result out of the Rodney King riots that happened, in the early 90s, 92.
Reginald Denny getting pulled out of his truck, and I mean, just brutalized on live TV. That was, everything that. I predicted a long time ago that all of this stuff was going to happen. We were going to see, people getting beat on live TV. We saw just Charlie Kirk just get assassinated. Right? I mean, I predicted all that. It all came true, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, so you can go ahead and continue on with your story.
Yeah, no, everybody's got a phone now, Bruce. And even back then, that was, 33 years ago. And it's still, if you look at that video, it's still haunting to see. But were you living in LA at the time?
I was not living in LA. I live up in San Jose in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay. San Jose up north. Okay. Yeah. So all my family's from Southern California. So yeah, it hit pretty hard. But the reason why I invented or created the Chemical Agent Specialist Program with my partner Lance is because we didn't have anything large scale to take care of any of those big riots. Police officers, if anything bad happened, they'd have to call SWAT, or they'd have to mobilize a unit that would take time, and then they just didn't have the time a lot of times. And so what I did is we had a bag, and it was literally, I looked like a Ghostbusters. So it was a backpack with a scuba tank in the back, and I filled it with OC. I charged it with nitrogen, and it put on a spray nozzle on the end of it. And dude, I could spray 40, 50 feet in front of me, and I could spray anybody I wanted to. And so what we did was I got some old military gas masks, and that they were chucking away, and we got a whole bunch of different surplus stuff, and we put bags together, and we made up a bunch of these units with a jumpsuit, because that OC goes everywhere, man. You don't want anything on you. And so a jumpsuit, gas mask, we got the backpack. So that was so each squad had one cruiser with that in it.
Okay.
So if you had, Mesa PD, we had 4 stations at the time, 5 stations at the time. Each station probably had, I don't know, a squad on at a time. So they're probably 40 units. And so you would probably have at least 2 during a day shift, 2 during a night shift. And you could have 3 or 4 during a night shift, because they would overlap. But it gave immediate gas to patrol. And so inventing that and understanding OC, and I've been sprayed 114 times. I know how good pepper spray is as a deterrent. So what I did was that I said, I got to come up with a solution. So 2 things happened when I realized that when she was stuck. She only had 2 options, Bruce. Number 1 option was to drive through the crowd, and understanding this, and maybe you know this as well, that 99% of the people will not drive through a crowd, will not hurt another person to defend themselves. They haven't gone through it. They haven't processed it. They don't know what they're going to do. So that's a bad option.
Yeah.
The second bad option is they're hoping and praying help comes.
Yeah, that's a while away.
And that's a while away now.
Yeah, you being a cop, that it's a while away before you get response.
So those are really bad options. So I said, and I just started, and I think it's a God moment. I came up with the idea. I said, how do we get pepper spray from inside a car using a pepper spray can to the exterior of the car, right? All the way around the car without contaminating the person inside. Thanks, Bruce. Without contaminating the person inside. So that was like, how are we going to do that? All right. Well, we came up with a couple of prototypes. Being a partner of mine at the time, and he helped me out, put some prototypes together, and we came up with these puck-looking things with 8 holes, with one, with a hose going into it, with a one-way valve, and that would literally spray out pepper spray all over the place. You put it on with magnets, and it would sit on the roof. I sold 50 of those in a weekend. I put them on Facebook, and boom, like that. So I'm like, wow, I think I got something. So I talked to my wife, and I'm like, I think we need to get a patent on this thing. I think we got to do something. I think we got something. And a little forward ahead. Let me go back just a hair, Bruce. Is my friend of mine, Bob Doherty. He was a lieutenant for Portland, Maine Police Department. And in that one of the videos that I sent you, he got his cruiser surrounded. Okay. And he couldn't go anywhere. I watched him from his dash cam for 15 minutes. He couldn't move. And so I'm like, this is it. This can never, ever happen again. So that's essentially those two instances. I said, I got to be able to not only have a solution for civilians, I need a solution for law enforcement. And this is where we're at. 5 years later, I do have a patent here in the United States. And I have a patent in South Africa. So, things are going great.
So when we're talking about this, and you brought up an interesting point with that 99% of people will not do anything to try to get out of a situation of where they're at. Mainly, number one is because they're scared. They're scared out of their mind. You got your mind racing. You don't know what to do. And of course, we've got, people that don't have any problem with using firearms or wherever the case may be to shoot themselves out of the way or, whatever, protect themselves. But that's a very slim margin of people. Also, you have the fact that, the police response for something like that, especially you're in the middle of an intersection or something like that, you got to get on a cell phone. You got to call the police department. You're trying to figure out where you're at, all this other stuff. So there's a delayed response in that. No offense to the police officers or the police department, but there is a response time that you have to be aware of. So you have concealed carry. You have the right to have some guns available to you in some states, whether you want. But the better option, I think, personally for me and my wife and my family, is a non-lethal type of situation, especially when you're out and about, because in order to pull a trigger on somebody to kill somebody takes a lot of guts. And I would think that even doing something like this would take a lot of guts, but if it's there available to you, that is something that you need to be considered. So why less than the lethal defense, and why does that matter today?
It's important, especially in the litigious world that we live in, that, you can always go to deadly force, Bruce. If you see deadly force, you meet that with the same or more, right? That's the use of force continuum. What is very important to do, though, is that what if you don't have a lower step than lethal force? What if all you got is your presence and lethal force?
Yeah.
You have no options there, right? You have no options there. You either beat up the guy or run away, or you shoot the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no options there. So I've always, in trying to promote people's safety and self-defense, you always want to layer your protection. Layering your protection gives you options. Mm-hmm. If you can remember, I have a formula, and it works all the time. It is called time plus distance equals safety. So if you have the right tool, a right defense tool, then you can keep that person at bay. So if let's say that, you want to keep that person, you feel threatened, that person is standing, 15, 20 feet away from you. Pepper spray is a darn good option to get that person at a distance from you and get you. All you need to do is keep him from seeing you.
Right.
A blind person can't hurt you.
Right. When I went through self-defense course, it was like, if you hit a guy in the neck, he can't breathe. If you hit a guy, if you break his knee, he can't walk. If you poke him in the eyes, he cannot see. And now we have pepper spray. So, that was the extent of my my personal protection. And of course, I have personal firearms in the house to be able to protect my house and stuff. But like I said, we talked about Berna earlier, with the self-defense pistols and stuff like that. But you have a unique product, and the role of preparedness in making sure that your family is safe in the environment that we have now is essential. So what was the challenges that you had before we get into the product? What was the challenges that you had, or did you have any on bringing this to market?
Oh, there's a lot of challenge. I'm a retired cop on a shoestring budget, and I just, number one, money. I was able to. Nobody wants to give loans or grants to, especially in the environment. And this is not political, but it is truth. In the environment for the last 4.5 years, was not conducive to my type of business. So when I went for grants, when I went for loans, when I went for things like that, they'd look at me as a retired cop and they'd look at my business and they'd say, yeah, maybe we would rather have somebody who loves windmills and solar instead.
Right.
So that was their focus. So that was a challenge to overcome. Another challenge to overcome is that nobody has ever even heard of this before.
Right.
So I am bringing something to market that has never even been thought. Well, people have thought about it maybe, but nobody can say, oh, what in the world is a vehicle, perimeter defense system? What is a mobile pepper spray deployment system? People have no idea what that is, So I had to do a lot of my own promotion, YouTube. I did my own podcast. I self-promoted, on every show that I could. And I did as much as I could to overcome that. And, social media and all that, and really getting involved with, promoting the idea of empowering people, and allowing people, moms, dads, college kids, campers, people who are going camping, truck drivers, women truck drivers, law enforcement, military. I mean, I have a system for every market in the country. I went for my patent in South Africa. So because they were 4 or 5 years ago, they were doing carjackings and hijackings. I mean, they were doing 100 a day in some of these cities. It was horrible. I had a friend that lived down there and she was terrified. So I said, well, I'll get a patent down there and see what I can do and get some business down there. But since then, they changed governments and they don't let white companies work there yet anymore. So no, we got to wait till the government changes again. So, if you're a white company, you can't do anything. So,
So tell me, for my listeners, tell me about what OC is, because you've referenced OC, and I'm sure that a lot of people out there don't know what OC is. I know what it is because I've listened to other podcasts, but tell the people what OC is.
OC is oleoresin capsaicin. In other words, pepper spray.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So let me give your audience a little chemistry class, because I'm going to geek out on you guys for a little bit.
Okay.
All right.
We love geeks.
All right. Cool. So the pepper plant. So you're living in California. I had a jalapeno when I was 2 years old. I mean, I've been eating jalapenos since I was a baby down in San Diego, eating tacos and So all that is. So if you open up a jalapeno and you see all the seeds in the jalapeno, those seeds are attached to the placenta of the fruit. So those seeds are attached to what is called the placenta. Now, in that placenta of the fruit is where all the heat is. That's where all the good OC, oleoresin capsaicin. So capsaicin is what gives heat. The heat is what makes your eyes burn when you touch it after you've cut up some jalapenos.
Cut up the jalapenos or roast them or whatever. I've done that before.
Right? That's exactly what it is. And Bruce, it's an organic alkaloid. What that means is that it's not made in a laboratory somewhere. It's derived organically from the pepper fruit. And an alkaloid, all that means is that animals don't like it. It's really bad tasting and it bad smells and it hurts us when it gets in our eyes. But I'm going to tell you something about this, Bruce. This is incredible. Pepper spray doesn't burn us. Pepper spray doesn't burn our tongues. It doesn't burn our eyes. What it does, unlike tear gas or some of those other chemicals that are made in laboratories. What pepper spray, what oleoresin capsaicin does is that when it's introduced to our body, in our central nervous system, we actually have a receptor for capsaicin. So when our central nervous system receives that receptor from the capsaicin, it tells our body that we're on fire.
Gotcha.
So it's
okay.
not, it is not burning us. It's not causing us heat here. It's literally telling us. It's literally telling our brains that you're on fire. You've got to do something about it. That's why our nose runs out, our eyes shut. We try to get free. We try to get water in our eyes,
right,
because we think it's on fire. So it's not. It's organic. It's not chemical. I put it on my cheeseburgers. You can eat it. It really. So that is what OC is, and that's what I'm telling people is that when you start thinking of it that way, that it's not a chemical, that you literally can spray it on your cheeseburgers and eat the stuff. You don't mind spraying somebody in the eyeballs to get out of there, because
right,
you know he's going to be okay,
right,
or she's going to be okay.
right.
I got to get home to my family.
Exactly. That's interesting. So yeah, I have been there. I'm a pepper farmer, not a pepper farmer, but I have a garden out in the back. I love peppers, so we grow peppers and tomatoes. We blow what they call a salsa garden. So, but I'm well aware of going like this. After you've made some salsa, you go like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. So you gotta wash your hands, clean them up, or wear gloves. Wear gloves. That's the best thing.
Yeah. And I also have a partner that's in the hot sauce businesses, Tennessee hot sauce. He's been on our show before, and I've done his hot sauces, and I have a little yogurt or some milk or something else to kind of knock down that capsaicin stuff. So capsaicin is no joke. Tell me the difference between the I don't want to call it lethality, but the safety between OC, tear gas, and other non-lethal things that the police department and stuff would use on a crowd.
Yeah, they don't use. There's two major tear gases that they use, and I cannot pronounce it because it's got a chemical name like this. All I'm gonna say is CS.
Yeah.
And CN.
Okay.
Those are the two tear gases. One is blue.
Okay.
CS is blue in a blue canister. And CN is red. CN is very nasty. That is military grade. That is something law enforcement does not use anymore. In fact, it is rarely used in military. There's some instances where they still use it, but on bases around the world, they don't even allow it in their country. So a lot of that's moving away. That is a chemical. It's a powder, and it causes lung irritation. It can cause difficulty breathing, mucus, but it's more of a lung effect, and so is CS. So CS is mixed in. It's not as bad as CN, which is really, really bad. Law enforcement mixtures, they will run a mixture that is pretty hot. It's 1.33 to 1.4% OC, and it's a mixture of CS. So what that gives the officer, Bruce, it not only helps with the person who, getting it in the face, and it's going to affect their eyes and nose and everything up here. The CS gets here.
Right.
Now that person has really hard time breathing. It burns. It's the most pain that you're going to get without being killed.
So
but that's lethality.
Yeah, do they consider that as far as any lawsuits and stuff are concerned with the CS or the tear gas? Is there any long-term effects to that other than anything else? No. So
no,
okay,
actually, if
we're
you've
talking
got
totally
time,
non-lethal.
Yeah, it's totally non-lethal. There are, every department has a policy on when to deploy, how to deploy, how directly to deploy. You don't deploy into people's faces, and there's a lot of things to take precaution in. And when it comes to OC, I got sued for $1 million when I was working for Mesa PD. I had this call that I was a chemical agent guy, and this guy was going to kill himself. He lived in a trailer, and we surrounded the trailer. And I was on the entry team. I was negotiating with them outside the door. And so I had dispatch. I said, hey, get patrol to get, trailer parks. You shoot a bullet at trailer parks. It's going through four different trailers. Exactly. So we made sure we evacuated everybody around, just get out of the vicinity in case something bad happens. Well, there's this woman in the next trailer over. She wouldn't evacuate. So she's like, I'm not leaving. And all of a sudden, this guy came out at us. I unloaded with the OC. I painted him orange. He dropped the gun, and we tackled him and, got him to the hospital. 6 months later, I got a thing in the mail that I got to go in I'm being deposed because me and the city of Mesa are being sued for $1 million. Guess who's suing us?
Yeah, it's a lady.
The woman next door who didn't leave. So I'm on the stand. I went to the deposition. I'm talking to the lawyer, and her attorney is just digging me. He's like, you created, you caused damage to my client's lungs. She's been in the hospital for 3 months, and just going off and on. And I'm like, time out. I'm like, Your Honor. And I pulled over to the judge. I'm like, Your Honor. I said, I don't know what he's talking about, but we asked her to evacuate, and I said, but that pepper spray can't hurt her. I said, and I just did exactly what I just told you. I said, it's an organic alkaloid. I said, I said, I put it on my cheeseburgers. And he looked at me and says, you put it on your cheeseburgers? I said, yes, you can eat the stuff. It's not going to cause damage to her lungs. So they dropped the case. It was dismissed. And, it had nothing to do with the 3 packs of smokes that she was smoking every day.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So getting back to the personal protection, of course, you wouldn't want to have tear gas in your house and blow off a tear gas bomb if you're being infiltrated. Of course, you don't want to, you might want tear gas to throw out of your vehicle, but you got to open up, the door and do that all. So you got OC, you've got this product called the Fin. So let's get into the product and talk about Fin. Tell us about Fin.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to. So let's do
one thing first. Let's run this intro video again that I ran at the intro just to get everybody refreshed here.
What are you doing, you crazy fuck? What are you talking? What are you doing?
I'll go ahead and stop it right there. I thought when you sent that to me, it was just funny. I mean, I felt bad for the lady. I know it was all set up, and it was you going like, ah, but it was fantastic.
That's my wife.
That was your wife. Oh, great. Okay,
tell us about we're a family business. We're just a family business, man.
Tell us about F3.
Well, listen, we got this Fin, which is our basic model for vehicles, and so law enforcement and civilians can both order this. They can go to our website and buy this. So what we did was, you can see that there's 4 ports all the way around here.
Yep.
And it goes 360 degrees all the way around your vehicle. So you mount this straight to the roof, and it comes with this UVB tape, and that's literally it's a perfect seal. So you run a tube. We get this quick release. If your audience can see that right there.
Yep.
Quick release down into there. And then this runs down through the headliner, down your B pillar, and then across the seat, and then attaches to a grip that can either be on your center console or up on the roof like this.
Right. Okay.
And I can show you the grip. And then this sits on the roof. So essentially this goes to the other end, all, through your roof, through your headliner, and then it gets attached to the other end of this cam, just like that.
Yeah. So for my hot
Important.
rodding buddies out there, it's kind of like an N2O system for your engine, and this is the same thing. It's a OC distributor for the outside of your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, nitrous. Yeah. So so this is our basic model. I have a research and development team in Boise, Idaho that we meet every single day on really cool stuff that we build. And so our next level, this is our basic model. Our next model, talking about that, is we have a pump system. So our next level up is going to be a pump where you won't have a can, where you actually have a reservoir, and the pump would pump out OC through nozzles in the grill, nozzles in the mirrors, and nozzles in the bumpers.
Oh wow! So all the way around. So yeah, I'm using a rental car right now, and it's a new fandangled freaking 2025 something. It's a big old SUV, and it's got lights and sensors and everything anywhere. I would expect something like this coming out of every place, every orifice that you can find in your vehicle to protect yourself. Because I've often said, I'm just going to get a cattle trap, or what do they call that? A cow thing, and just go through.
Cattle prong.
But you can't do that. You can't do that, right? You can't do that.
Well,
but
and the thing is with those things, Bruce, is that that person's got to get too close to you.
Right.
Tasers are great. Handheld tasers are fine, but you got to be close to the person to hit them.
Yes.
I want to make sure that person stays 20, 30 feet away from you. Don't come close to me, because then things start getting bad the closer you get to me.
Right. So, what are some of the things? I mean, it looks like these things deter somebody. Like, I've never been hit with pepper spray. Don't know anything about it. I'm sure I don't want to, but I mean, will this clear out an area? It seems that this will clear out an area enough for you to start moving your car, and then you can hit it a couple more times as you're running through the crowd.
Yeah, so you get 16 ounces. So this is something law enforcement gets. You can't buy this on the market. This only comes through F3Defense. This is 16 ounces of pepper spray. So if you think of, everybody's seen the keychains, the keychain, the handheld, those are only half ounce. Those are only half ounces. So you're getting 16 ounces of pepper spray. So you are going to be able to hit it a couple, 3 times if you need to. I want you, and you can hit it multiple times, but I want you, it comes with directions. You go to my website, it gives you all the directions you need. But you spray until the threat is gone, until you can get out of there, right? You want to spray till the threat's gone. And we also have UV dye in here. So I want you to get out of Dodge. Get off the X is what we call it. Get off the X, get out of Dodge, get to safety, call the police department, because what I've done is I put UV dye in here. And the law enforcement afterwards can go to a black light and identify anybody that has been, attacking.
Right. And then all this comes with the, instructions and stuff. Obviously, you're going to want to close your vents and stuff like that before you do that. Not running the air.
I got videos all on there. Yeah, close your vent, close your window. And it all comes down really, Bruce, about situational awareness. If you come up to an intersection, I teach this all the time. Don't get on the bumper and the guy in front of you. Give yourself some space between you and the guy, because look in your mirrors when you're stopped. Always watch around you. You got somebody coming up beside you, pull your windows up. Put your windows up and allow yourself an area to escape, right? Because if you got traffic in front of you and you're right up on that front guy's bumper, you're going to get carjacked pretty easily.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that, you never know. I mean, even honking your horn right, at a green light, can cause somebody to get out of their car and do something to you. And maybe there's a car in back of you, maybe there's a car to the side of you. I'm very aware of that. And I always leave some kind of cushion around me because I'm situational awareness. I mean, I carry what I can. I have my, my everyday carries as much as I can here in California. And like I said, I'm going to, look into the personal pepper spray, guns and stuff like that. That's all cool stuff. I love this technology, but it even goes farther than this. I mean, you got stuff going on for RVs and trucks, and that's very important because I like going out and I like going camping because you never know what's going to happen out there. We've heard situations of people camping and somebody comes up on your campsite. You don't know who they are. And all of a sudden they want to harm you, and you're in an RV. Well, pretty easy to get into an RV, no matter how strong that lock is, correct?
Right. So you know, I was looking at the vulnerability, and I love being outdoors, and I also know that you know, although the risk is lower camping than, let's say, if you're in some kind of urban setting, that is true. But you also got to understand that pepper spray works on all mammals. It doesn't have to just be people. It works on bear, coyotes, raccoons. It works on, you know, if it's a mammal, pepper spray works. So I created this really for not only personal safety against, you know, potential people threats, but if you've got a bear loose in your campsite, you go to spray of this, it pops out, and man, you don't have to go out there and encounter a bear. You can move them along, and bears understand pepper spray. I got a buddy who's works up in Montana, Bruce. He's a guide up there, and he carries his bear spray right here, right? So he's a guy, and he's got a whole bunch of people behind him, and he sees Mama Grizzly, and they've got a bunch of cubs right next to him.
Oh yeah.
Now the group behind him are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. The guy's like, just be chill, just chill. He does this, takes it out of his vest. He points it over to the bear. She grabs her cubs and walks away. And the people were like, what? How did that happen? She's like, she's been sprayed before. She knows what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah. You say bears know pepper spray. So you know, state governments and all that. Who doesn't understand pepper spray in the United States? Who doesn't?
Oh,
I'm asking
people who don't want you to protect yourself.
Yeah. I'm asking that. So I guess what I'm getting at, my question is what governmental agencies are you going to come across if you have this installed in your car, and what kind of ramifications are we looking at? And is this like available in all 50 states? I mean, I guess that's what my question is.
It is. Well, you're in California, so you'd probably have to go to Arizona to buy it. You know, because unless you're in law enforcement, it's hard to sell in California.
Yeah.
New York's the same way. New York's got crazy laws. You can't buy pepper spray unless it's at like a pharmacy or something, or an FFL. And
Right.
So but anywhere else, there's some like local jurisdictions, different problems, but every other state, pepper spray is legal in all 50 states. It just
Right.
all depends on the quantity of how big your can is.
The quantity.
Yeah.
So
that's it. So my system.
So you offer to fin in a quantity that is legal in 48 states. We'll say 48 states because California and New York are their own animals. But as far as distributing this, I mean, you got to train the people in a way that says, you know, just because somebody's coming up to my car doesn't mean I get to shoot this stuff out and you know, deter him. I don't know whether this guy's going to help me or not. But once they start the attack, you know, that's the trigger there. So there's got to be a layer of you know, engagement there, and I'm sure that you use this in your training.
I do. In every state law, when it comes to the use of intermediate force, which pepper spray is considered an intermediate, less than lethal force, that the bar, if you will, is the threshold for the law is does that person, reasonable person, feel threatened? So Bruce, you feel your threat level is going to be different than my wife's threat level because she's a 5 foot tall, you know, 100-pound woman. So I have to make sure that I let people know that the state law allows for a reasonable person to articulate that you felt threatened. Because if that person's huge, 6'5", I'm 6'5", and you know, I'm coming after, and I'm just yelling at the person. I'm not being physical, but I'm yelling and I'm pointing. If I'm 5 foot, could I articulate that I was frightened? I think I could. And could I get away with it? I think I could. You know, I don't think a jury or a police officer would ever write you for that. You know, so.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this also at the same time when you're talking about the RVDefend can also be used as home. Yeah, it can all be used as a home defense system, of course, right outside your front door. I mean, your front door, your back door, your side garage door, things like that. Kind of incorporated with the ring doorbell, because you got to know what you can see. If somebody's banging on your door going like, oh, I want it, you can use this system to deploy at the same time. I'm sure the truck system is somewhat the same way. Can you tell us what about the truck stop system?
The TRUCKSTOP is similar to the RVDefend, although the nozzles are a little bit different. With the RVDefend, let me see if I got an example of the nozzle here. You can see, let me see here. This is the nozzle, the RVDefend. So you put this up against the wall, drill a hole, and then you have this flashing that comes on the other side of it, and then you have the tubing, and then you essentially you have
the same distribution system. The same distribution system.
Yeah, yep. And you get this great grip that you can mount it right next to the fire extinguisher.
Oh, fantastic!
It comes everything with a drill. It comes everything you need to mount it. So the TRUCKSTOP is very similar to that. It's just a different orifice that shoots out, because we want to make sure that we make the most contact when we shoot out the pepper spray. But it's all on the same type of functionality. We're using pepper spray from inside to the exterior, and on the very basic level using a can. And on our next models that we're bringing in from a reservoir, we just got hired to do a Bentley, $200,000 Bentley that we just designed. No, I'm meeting him in DC next week. So we designed it to go right in his mirrors, and it's all electronic. So it's all on his. We can press a button inside his Bentley, and the OC will spray all the way around his mirrors. So it's pretty cool.
James Bond 007 stuff. I love it.
Well, you'll like our next one, man. Let's check this out. We got really, and I don't know where, I can't go real deep into details, but there's a company out there that does bug out rigs, really, really high end tactical rigs and trailers and things like that. Well, we're working with a deal with them that they're going to be adding F3Defense to their rigs. And not the pepper spray can, but we're talking reservoir with artificial intelligence, with the AI actually understanding the threat. So I would be able to tell, you would be able to, Bruce, you say, okay, this guy's a friendly. You name all your family, you go to bed that night and you don't worry about it. The AI knows who's not friendly and will spray anybody that's not.
I like that. I'm thinking about all kinds of uses here. You got smash and grabs going on right now. You got convenience stores just being looted by the dozens here in California. I mean, it happens all the time. Yeah. I can see this above the doors at like the 7-Eleven or something like that. The guy knows what's going to happen. He locks the doors. Boom. You got a crowd outside. They're trying to break the windows, and you just hit this stuff, and away you go. Yeah.
We have an awning. We have an awning system that actually drapes across the front windows. So, like if you had a plate glass window that you're selling TVs and Nikes that you don't want people to come in, that you just hit a button and it literally mists pepper spray out in front of your store. That they just go to the next place.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it sounds like a no-brainer if you're a shop owner or something like that to have some kind of system like this involved in your protection, because number one, your burglar alarm is not going to save you from anything. The burglar alarm is just going to go off. It's going to go to a central station that's going to call the cops, and whether the cops are busy or whether you still got a response time to go on and things like that. Then you've got your own employees that you've told don't engage and let them do what they want. And then number three, you've got preventative, which could be this system right here. So I don't to me, I think the cost outweighs, the cost outweighs, the protection thing. You got to protect yourself.
Oh, I think the cost, we actually brought the cost down on the fin last week. So we were running because we had some extra inventory. So it's like $179. I think that's a great deal.
Yeah. And then of course the replacement packages, and of course, like I said, in New York or California, I have to go to Arizona to get mine. I'm sure that out of side of New York, just go to New Jersey or something like that. Tell me about this.
Connecticut.
Yeah, tell me about this certificate here.
Yeah, so I decided I wasn't going to work with other pepper spray companies. So what I launched is my own pepper spray line. And in doing that, I've always been an OC instructor. So what I wanted to do is offer my course to the instructors. So if you owned a defense company like Autumn does, she owns a great company that called Asset. You're an Asset for Women, and she does women's self-defense, but she didn't have an OC defense aspect of her training. So what I did was I said, okay, let's put together an instructor's certification that they can now take that and teach their own students, and then buy great high quality pepper spray from F3Defense, and then we create this great relationship that we're providing great product to them and great information about pepper spray and self-defense, and then we're partnering with these great instructors around the country. So that was pretty cool that we were able to launch that this 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Now, how can we help you out in California and in New York? I mean, what is it gonna take for California and New York to finally break the cycle of letting people defend themselves?
It's going to take legislation. It really is. Unless it doesn't matter how many people get killed or murdered or assaulted or attacked. You would think that in most cases you would say if the crime is rising and things are getting really bad, that we would do something about it. But a lot of New York and California, and I'm a California. I was born in Los Angeles, man. I wish my state came. I wish it was a healthy state to live in again, but it's not. But I think it's going to take legislation, and that's the only way it's going to change, because you've got way too many politicians that aren't aren't pro. They're pro bad guy and not pro victim.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Yeah. Exactly. The victim was the problem in the first place. So you made yourself a victim. So we're going to
that's right.
defend the perpetrator instead. Yeah, it's a sad
Right.
situation that we have. I really think about it. So yeah, legislation is going to lead to that, but it's going to be a long road up. I live in California here, which we have a super majority in the Democrats in the assembly, and I'm sure the same thing's happening in New York. But those might start flipping here pretty soon. We'll see what's going on. It just depends on the political environment and how much people just get fed up with everything that's going on. And man, I just want to thank you for being here to the show, man. You really kind of opened my eyes to this pepper spray thing. I'm excited about this series that we're doing, man. I really thank you, Michael Mercer, for being here, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bruce. It's my pleasure. Thank you for reaching out.
Yeah, I want to show everybody this last little video that you got right here before we end the show, and then we'll take off, man. So. Yeah, and that's the way it works, man. Again, thank you, Mike Mercer. We'll have you back again sometime. I hope you want to come back. And
right on, brother. Anytime.
We'll be back again next week with another edition of the Weather Report, man. Thanks to everybody for coming. Bye-bye.
Thanks.